Live from Dobbs Ferry, New York, CSI Sportsnet welcomes you into audio-only coverage of CSI Dolphins women's basketball, streaming on the CSI Sportsnet YouTube channel. As always, for a full live video of the game, you can scan the QR code on your screen and tune in via Flow College. However, for those of you joining us here on YouTube exclusively, we welcome you to the broadcast as the Dolphins take the floor against the Mercy University Mavericks for the second time this season. It was a Mavericks win the first time these two teams met. Mercy knocked off CSI 71-52 at the Tank back on December 3rd. It's been about 6 weeks since that game, and the Dolphins will hope to avenge that defeat earlier this year. Of course, this is also a rematch of last year's ECC Championship semifinal round. Dolphins picked up the win in Amherst over the Mavericks to advance to the ECC Championship. The Mavericks do control the opening tip and are left with 12 to shoot on the game's first possession. They do work it inside, kick to the corner with 5 to shoot now. Dolphins all over them defensively as Lesko's jumper rattles out as the buzzer sounds just inside of that 30-second mark. They got the ball to Lesko, who couldn't connect. Starting lineup for CSI: Stitchie Barnes, Dana Phelan, Shanye Edmonds, Kyra Rose, and Raki Kane. Edmonds tries the mid-range jumper from the corner, too strong. Rebounded by Sophia Hoyt. She's joined by Lesko, Barrera, Abuatab. Lesko with it now, defended by Edmonds. Also out there, Morgan Miller. As the Mavericks turn it over along the baseline, Abuatab stepped out of bounds. Barnes brings it up, feeds it to Rose on the wing. Rose to Stitchie Barnes. She wants an entry pass to Edmonds. Edmonds forced to retreat into the corner. Back up top to Rose. 12 to shoot. Rose thought about the jumper. 8 on the shot clock now as they feed it inside to Edmonds. Edmonds tied up with 5 to shoot, and she traveled. Still no score. Over a minute and a half into this first quarter. Mavericks have it. Lesko with 20 to shoot, defended by Barnes beyond the arc. She swings it to Abuatab for 3. That rolls off the rim and is rebounded by Kane. Rose back the other way in transition, finds an open Barnes in the corner. Her mid-range jumper won't go. Dana Phelan with the offensive board is too strong on the short jumper from the baseline. On the drive, that was Barrera, who couldn't finish. Dolphins rebounded. Speaking of Barrera, she did not play in the matchup at the Tank. Of course, a big addition back to the Mavericks lineup for this one. Edmonds swings it to Barnes, right back inside to Edmonds. And she goes up on Lesko and finishes a tough shot off glass. That opens the scoring and gives the Dolphins a 2-0 lead. Over 2.5 minutes gone by in the first quarter. Dolphins lead 2-0. Once again, the Mavericks work it inside to Barrera. She's double-teamed. She finds an open Miller on the wing. Her three-pointer too strong. Fight for the rebound underneath. And a jump ball was called, but the possession arrow favoring Staten Island. Barnes will bring it across the timeline with inside of 7 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Dolphins still lead by 2. Phelan, top of the arc. Swings it to Rose on the wing. She calls for a screen from Kane. Edmonds, quick pass outside to Kane from the free throw line. Kane looking to drive, lost the ball. She picks it back up with 6 to shoot. Now Edmonds from the corner is short. And the rebound is taken in by Hoyt. She pushes ahead to Abuatab. Now Barrera into the corner for Miller. Once again, Barrera looking to post up, and Miller threw it away. The Mavericks have looked to feed it inside to Barrera on the low block early. The Dolphins giving her a hard time gaining any good positioning there. Dolphins force a second Mavericks turnover with that giveaway. They now have it with 20 on the shot clock. Phelan on the wing. Defended well by Hoyt. She feeds a cutting Barnes, and her reverse layup won't go. Edmonds with the offensive board. Out to Rose. She gives it up to Barnes. Now Kane. Kane directing Edmonds to post up. Once again, Edmonds had to come out and get it, and she hands off to Phelan for a three that goes in and out. Miller couldn't secure it, but she flipped it ahead to Hoyt. Hoyt on the drive, banks it in, and the Mavericks score for the first time. A mad scramble for that loose ball at half court. Saw Miller flip it while sprawled out on the floor. She found Hoyt ahead of the field, and Hoyt laid it in. Rose into the corner for Kane. She'll try a three. No good. And the Mavericks look to run. Good hand there by Rose at half court. She poked it away from Habuatab. Now Miller with it. She swings it to Lesko, back outside to Habuatab. Lesko with it just beyond the free throw line, working on Phelan. Her lefty layup won't go. Rebounded by Edmonds, and she threw it away. Kane did not see the pass coming as a whistle came in. And a basket is going to be waved off here. Lesko had knocked down the jumper, but the shot clock was improperly reset to 30. They put 20 on, and the Mavericks will inbound from the baseline. 5:02 on the clock here in the first quarter. Our next stoppage will bring us to a media timeout. Habuatab backing in on Rose, gets inside and lays it in. Nice move there by Habuatab. Juliana Ditto and Dorothy Weesey into the game for CSI. They replace Dana Phelan and Raki Kane. Starting five still out there for Mercy. Rose lost it as she looked to drive on Barrera, but Edmonds left open. Can't hit the free throw line jumper. Mavericks were ready to pounce on that ball, left Edmonds alone, but she could not make them pay. Dolphins have not scored since around the 8:20 mark. 15 to shoot for Mercy. Miller on the outside, looks to drive to her right, and she throws one off glass, no good, rebounded by Ditto. And the Dolphins once again throw it away, this time right at the half-court line. Hoyt looked to drive, kicked it outside. Now Miller on the floater is way off, and Rose has the rebound. Barnes on the wing, back up top to Rose. Edmonds will set Rose a screen just beyond the free throw line. Rose kicks out to Barnes. Barnes driving baseline, gets the layup to go, count it, and the foul. Stitchy Barnes with a nice move along the baseline, able to finish on the reverse layup. And she will head to the free throw line with a chance to give the Dolphins the lead. But before that, the stoppage will send us to our first media timeout. 3:41 to go in the opening quarter. Our score, Mercy University 4 and Staten Island 4. And we are back from Mercy University in Dobbs Ferry, New York. Joe Foreman on the call for CSI Sportsnet with audio of today's doubleheader between the Dolphins and the Mavericks. Women's basketball up first, followed by the men tip-off in that second game scheduled for approximately 2 p.m. But if we know anything, those 2-hour staggered tip-offs rarely come to fruition, so we'll see how early they get started. Stitchy Barnes at the line after converting through the contact ahead of the media timeout. Did not make the free throw. And we stay tied at 4 with over 3.5 to play in the opening quarter. Lesko's jumper rolls off. Once again, Rose looking to push off the rebound. She finds Edmonds in the corner, outside to Barnes. Ditto into the corner for Weesey. Back up top, Barnes. Rose on the wing. Thought about the jumper off the jab step. Instead drives, throws one up with the left, and gets the roll. Kyra Rose converting through the contact. Dolphins head back to the free throw line with a second chance to convert on a three-point play. And Rose hits her free throw to put the Dolphins ahead by 3. Last time these two teams met, the Mavericks scored 43 points in the first half, 22 in the first, 21 in the second. Dolphins defensively have slowed them down in this first quarter so far, as Barrera couldn't hit on the hook shot. She was doubled inside. Mavericks have looked to feature her early, and the Dolphins have made it really tough on Barrera around the basket, as Weesey's pass for Rose was tipped over the sideline. Mavericks making a couple of substitutions as well. Checking into the game, Caitlin Leary. And in fact, she's the first change for the Mavericks in this first quarter. Dolphins did send Dana Phelan back out there for Stitchy Barnes, as Edmonds misses the mid-range jumper from the corner off back iron. Once again, the Mavericks looking to push, and that is a nice feed from Hoyt to Lesko. Lesko sprinting up the floor, made the catch in stride, and was able to lay it in off glass. Dolphins' lead has been cut to 1. Weesey up top, feeds Phelan into the corner, ditto. Edmonds now just beyond the free throw line, thought about the jumper. Instead, it's back to ditto for Phelan. 8 to shoot. Phelan, entry pass for Edmonds. Edmonds working on Lesko, cannot get the lay-in to go. She did get around Lesko, but Lesko enough of a presence to make that shot tough. Abuatab misses in transition, grabs her own rebound, and the second try will not go either. And for the third time, the Dolphins come up with a stop and throw the ball away. 1:36 to go in the opening quarter. The Dolphins lead at 7-6. Barrera on the wing, hands off to Lesko, back outside Abuatab. She looks to drive on Ditto. Another tough shot will not go for Abuatab. She wanted a foul call. As the Dolphins get out in transition, 3 quick passes, and the ball finds Kyra Rose underneath for the easy finger roll. Dolphins execute well that time. And you get the sense that's what they've been looking for off of previous stops, but perhaps looking to move it a bit too quickly. They've thrown it away 2 or 3 times. Now Lesko lost it off her foot. Hoyt on the pull-up off back rim, but she was fouled. Hoyt will head to the line for the first 2 Mavericks free throws of the game. Neither team off to a good start shooting. Mercy 3 of 15, the Dolphins 4 of 14. Maya McKee will check in for the Dolphins, replacing Kyra Rose. Free throw good by Hoyt to make it a 2-point game. second is no good, rebounded by Kane. Just over 50 seconds to go in the quarter. Long outlet to Phelan. Back out to Kane, now ditto top of the arc. Right back to Phelan for three. No good. And the rebound is taken by Mercy. Another long outlet for Lesko. And that is a really nice feed off the defensive rebound by Paige Fortin. Fortin wasting no time, heaving it up to Lesko as McKee can't finish. She grabs her own miss, but four Mavericks surrounding her took it away. And now Mercy can hold for the final shot. About a second and a half differential between shot and game clock. Lesko looks to drive, and she draws the foul. Count the basket, and one. The Mavericks had been shut down offensively for much of this first quarter, but consecutive baskets by Lesko, and they're back in front by two with 2.9 to go in the quarter. Lesko's free throw is good. The Dolphins are left with 2.9. Weesey has the inbound and will not heave it. We are through one from Dobbs Ferry. Our score after 10 minutes, the Mavericks 12 and the Dolphins 9. This is audio-only CSI Sportsnet coverage of Dolphins women's basketball. The first of two games today here on our Sportsnet YouTube channel. Once again, it's the Mavericks leading the Dolphins by 3 after 1. We'll be right back. Joe Foreman back with you here on CSI Sportsnet as the Dolphins trail by 3 after one quarter of play here in Dobbs Ferry, New York. The Mavericks looking to make it a sweep against CSI this year. The Dolphins looking to pick up their second straight conference win after knocking off St. Thomas Aquinas College earlier in the week. Mavericks have it first to begin the second quarter. Time running out on them here. They have just 10 to shoot. Lesko gets into the paint, can't finish off glass, and on the second try, I believe the Dolphins were able to block Megan Marcotte. But once again, in transition, the Dolphins working just a bit too quickly, throw it off the fingertips of McKee. Dolphins have now turned it over 5 times. The two teams have combined 9 of 33 shooting in the first quarter. And for the Mavericks, they were sub 20% until a late run to close the quarter out. They scored the final 6 points in the first. Meanwhile, Lesko could not knock down that last 3 from the top of the arc, and the Dolphins have it back. 1 minute gone by here in quarter number 2. Phelan with it using the Weesey screen. Picks up her dribble on the left wing and feeds Kane in the post. Kane working on Lesko. Feeds a cutting Barnes. Her fall-away jumper goes down. Stitchy Barnes with a nice fall-away jumper, creating that space off the catch. Did not have to take a dribble there. Dolphins back to within 1. Hoyt fouled at the free throw line by McKee. First team foul on either side here in the second. I must admit, as I look outside and see the snowfall coming down, I'm a bit concerned about how I'm going to arrive home. Had I known the weather was going to be like this, perhaps I might have sat this one out. I was tracking that weather up in Buffalo for the entire week before making the trip to see the Dolphins take on the Saints and the Wildcats as Lesko draws another foul. Dolphins have had a really tough time matching up with the Mavericks inside. A lot of size out there for Mercy. Lesko, a 6-footer. Marcotte, 6'2", off the bench. First free throw by Lesko is good. I think that's a big reason why McKee found her way into the game as early as she did. Dolphins trying to match up with the size of this Maverick squad. Lesko goes 2 for 2 from the line. If you go back to the game on Staten Island, the Mavericks attempted 15 free throws in this game, or in that game. They're already seeing that number creeping up here in this one. Dolphins attempted just 7 free throws in that first meeting. Rose off the fake, drives the baseline, and may have had better opportunity shooting the jumper. Abuatab has it in the corner. She feeds Marcotte, and Marcotte traveled. Well, the answer for the Dolphins to the size for this Mavericks team has been to double and force the kick out. And if you rotate quickly and efficiently enough, sometimes you can prevent the open jumper that typically follows, but that's a tall task for a team defensively, especially against a Mavericks team that has a lot of capable shooters from the outside. Barnes with it on the wing, 15 on the shot clock, and she threw one right off Barrera's hip. Rose looking to cut, had a step as Kane blocks that shot by Hoyt in transition. And we've seen both teams look to push the pace off of opposing misses. Stitchy Barnes heads to the bench for CSI. We see Rose, Kane, Phelan, and Ditto out there for CSI. Another feed inside for Lesko, goes right at Phelan and draws the foul. And the Dolphins will immediately get Shania Edmonds up off the bench. When you look down the line for Mercy, among qualifiers, they only have 2 3-point shooters above the 30% mark, but they've held opponents under 25% from deep. And we've mentioned it many times this season as Lesko hits the first free throw that Dolphins are typically not a team that will beat you from beyond the arc. They will, however, when they're at their best, make you pay for your misses in transition as Lesko goes 2 for 2 from the stripe. Phelan with it on the wing. Using the Edmonds screen, she swings it to Rose. Rose gets a screen from Weesey. Picked up her dribble at the free throw line, and now Ditto on the wing is left with 10 to shoot. Pick and roll with Edmonds. She finds an open Weesey. And Weesey put up an air ball from in close. Now the Dolphins got the kind of look you'd hope for as Lesko will try a 3 in transition. Once again, it won't go. Dolphins fortunate that Lesko has not connected from deep yet. And Dana Phelan's a bit short on the 3, nearly got the bounce as it bounced off the front rim and straight up into the backboard. It nearly went down. But the Dolphins, thus far here in the second, have been held to just 2 points. As we approach 4 minutes gone by, Barrera backing in, threw up a wild shot. And once again, the Dolphins look to push. Edmonds tied up by Lesko, and she traveled. Well, the Dolphins in transition, more often than not, have looked to go right at the basket. And when you have the Mavericks bigs in there waiting for you, The right play might be to take that open mid-range jumper. Mercy with it, leading by 5 as we've reached 6 minutes remaining in the first half, and Lesko couldn't finish over Ditto. That was a big-time mismatch, and the Dolphins catch a break there. Edmonds on the wing, up top for Rose. She's defended by Barrera. Rose gets inside and can't finish the bank shot, but it was poked out of bounds by Mercy. Rose nearly able to grab her own miss, and the Dolphins will get a second opportunity. Rose will inbound from the baseline. Phelan into Edmonds. Edmonds outside for Ditto. She swings it to Phelan. Phelan gained a step, and her left-handed floater won't go, but Edmonds has the rebound. She kicks out to Ditto. Too strong from the corner, but Phelan rebounds it on the opposite baseline. Her floater off the front rim, and Phelan showing signs of frustration there. Did well to get back defensively. Abuatab with it, and she will reset with 20 on the shot clock. And Lesko threw it away. Well, each time the Mavericks have been able to get a mismatch on the low block, they've looked to feed it inside. The Dolphins have made it about as difficult as possible, given the difficult matchups they've faced. And they're still well within striking distance. It's a 5-point game. The Dolphins have shot more efficiently than the Mavericks, albeit by just 1%. Neither side shooting well. As Ditto finds an opening and rattles in a 3. Juliana Ditto with a big basket for the Dolphins, their first since the early going here in the second quarter. That's the first three-pointer for either side, as Lesko can't hit from beyond the arc once again. Lesko is now 0 for 3 from downtown. Phelan is left open for 3, and that's in and out. Edmonds has the offensive board, and she's tied up for a jump ball. Possession arrow once again will favor CSI. And with inside of 5 minutes to play in the first half, we will head to a media timeout. A big three-pointer by Juliana Ditto has pulled the Dolphins to within 2. Our score with 4:12 remaining in the second quarter. Mercy 16 and Staten Island 14. And we're back from Dobbs Ferry as the Dolphins will inbound with 18 to shoot. Rose, the inbounder, along the baseline, and she stepped over the baseline as the Dolphins are whistled for an inbound violation. Conversation ongoing at the scorer's table, so a brief delay ahead of the inbound. Play resumes, Mavericks ball, as we've reached 4 minutes remaining here in the first half. This is Hoyt on the drive, and she was tripped up as she entered the paint. That's the 4th team foul on CSI, and it did come in the act of shooting.
That is her second personal. It's the team's 4th. Ariel Barnes, number 1, is ready to the game. Sophia Hoyt will go to the line.
Hoyt's free throw rolls off, no good. Second attempt does go down. Chisani Francis Torres checking in for the first time ahead of that trip to the line for Hoyt. Barnes will bring it up. She gets a screen from Edmonds. Pressured well beyond the arc as the Dolphins work it around the perimeter. Rose out to Phelan. 15 to shoot. Phelan dribbles to her left and swings it to Barnes. Barnes to the basket. Banks it in. And a Maverick ended up down on the floor. That was a Buatab. Dolphins back to within 1. A Buatab in the corner. Barrera now feeds Marcotte. Mavericks have hardly moved in the last 15 seconds, and once again the Dolphins commit a foul, this time a bit later in the shot clock. The Mavericks will be in the bonus for the remainder of the half with 3:02 to go, and Abuatab will head to the line. So Abuatab will head to the line for the Mavericks. Free throws, 10 and 11 for Mercy. And the first is good. Second free throw goes down, and the Mavericks go back in front by 3. Barnes looks to drive the baseline. Miller right there. Does well defensively, but Barnes with good vision is able to find a cutting Shanye Edmonds. And once again, Stitchy Barnes flashes the goggles. We saw that last time out for the Dolphins. And CSI's back to within 1. Back to the basket, Miller. Tough fall-away jumper is an air ball. And the Dolphins almost turned it over again off the rebound. Barnes will bring it up. She hands off to Rose. Rose defended by Barrera. Feeds Edmonds. Edmonds left open, put up an air ball. And the Dolphins get a good look there. That's a shot that you like to see Shanye Edmonds taking. And she just couldn't knock it down this time. Mavericks with it, still leading by 1 in what has been a very low-scoring first half. And the Dolphins commit a foul, no basket. We were waiting to see if Barrera would have a chance at a three-point play. Instead, she heads to the line for 2 shots. Free throws 12 and 13 for the Mavericks now. And I mentioned they took just 15 at Staten Island. They might reach that number in the first half. However, Barrera misses the first. Mercy has been good from the line before that attempt, 9 of 11. You'll take that, but you won't take an 0 for 2, and Barrera misses both. Commentators' jinx never fails to strike as Rose looks to drive, and Rose will convert. Count the basket and 1. Kyra Rose, coast to coast off of the missed free throw. And the Dolphins have gone back in front. They lead at 20-19. One free throw for Rose. And she's now 2 for 2 from the line in this one. The Dolphins lead it by a pair. On the wing, Hoyt. Once again, the Dolphins keeping the Mavericks contained on the perimeter as Rose was able to poke that one away. Fortin harassed right in front of the Dolphins bench as that drew a nice reaction from the CSI sideline and prompts a Mercy timeout with 1:29 to go in the first half. We are closing in on halftime as the Dolphins have just regained the lead. Our score, Staten Island 21 and Mercy 19. We'll be right back with the conclusion of the first half. Mavericks inbound with 10 on the shot clock, under a minute and a half to go in the second quarter, and the Dolphins quickly force a turnover on the attempted entry pass. Barnes with the pull-up in transition, can't hit, but Jasani Francis Torres is right there for the putback. Dolphins now lead it by 4. Dolphins haven't shot it particularly well in this first half, but they have held the Mavericks under 20% shooting. And Mercy responds at the offensive end with an and one. That is Molly Bowick. Mavericks make a change coming out of that timeout. A new unit out there, and Bowick immediately is able to get to the free throw line. That basket counts. And she can pull Mercy to within one here. Her free throw too strong. And the Mavericks have now missed 3 straight from the line. 1 minute to go in the first half. The Dolphins maintain a 2-point lead. 23-21 our score as we approach halftime. Rose with a big crossover, got by Bowick, draws a double. And they missed Phelan, they missed Edmonds, and Edmonds was fouled. Rose is as good as any player in the ECC at getting into the paint and drawing contact. And we know she's a willing passer. If she makes the right decision with the basketball following those doubles, a lot of Dolphins are going to have a lot of open shots because defenders really can't stay in front of Cairo. She's got it back here. Crosses over again, off the spin, frees herself up, but can't hit the floater. Lesko brings it up, and once again the Mavericks can hold for the final shot. Less than a half-second differential between shot clock and game clock. Good awareness there by Fortin to point that out to her teammates. 12 seconds to go in the half. Fortin nearly double dribbled, gives it up to Bowick. Bowick harassed by Rose, flips it up and in with the left hand. Molly Bowick knots up the score with just fractions of a second to go before halftime. And we will head to the intermission, all knotted up at 23. Mercy and Staten Island tied. As we have reached halftime, we will step aside for a break of about 15 minutes, and when we come back, we will have the start of the third quarter from Dobbs Ferry. Less than 1 minute to go before the start of the third quarter from Dobbs Ferry, where the Mavericks and the Dolphins are tied at 23 in this East Coast Conference women's basketball matchup. Joe Foreman back with you on the call for CSI Sportsnet with audio of today's doubleheader between the Dolphins and Mavericks. Of course, the women are up first, followed by the men. That game scheduled to tip off at approximately 2 p.m. Some first half stats for both of these teams. It was a tough shooting half for both sides. The Dolphins 31% from the field, the Mavericks 25%. The two teams have combined 1 of 12 from beyond the arc. The Dolphins 1 of 7 and the Mavericks 0 for 5. Free throws were huge for Mercy, especially in that second quarter. They finished the half 9 of 14 from the line. Of those 14 attempts, 11 came in the second quarter. They missed 4 free throws in the second quarter as well. As for the Dolphins, they went to the line just 3 times in that first half. And for CSI, all of those trips came on made baskets. Kyra Rose with a pair of and ones. She completed the three-point play both times. Stitchy Barnes also finished despite a foul, could not hit the free throw. As for CSI, Rose the leading scorer with 8. Barnes has 6. On the side of the Mavericks, the only player with more than 4 points in the first half was Grace Lesko. She had 11. However, the Dolphins kept her in check in terms of efficiency. She shot just 3 of 11 from the field, 0 for 3 from downtown. However, she was a perfect 5 for 5 from the free throw line. The Dolphins inbound from the sideline right in front of me to open the second half and immediately turn it over. The Mavericks out in transition, finds Sophia Hoyt. She can't finish. Abuatab off the offensive rebound, goes back up and puts it in. And Mercy quickly has a 2-point lead. Dana Phelan fouled across half court. And the Mavericks quickly pick up their first team foul. Barnes with it, beats Phelan. Phelan facing up at the top of the arc, hands it off to Rose. Rose quickly looking to drive, finds Barnes. Barnes tied up at the free throw line, sends it back outside to Rose. Rose to the paint, and that's good defense by Barrera. Rose thought she was fouled, and the Mavericks work quickly the other way. Lesko drives the baseline and easily lays it in. And if you're the Dolphins, the start to the second half has to be concerning. Mercy really shot it very poorly in that first half. The Dolphins got plenty of stops. And very quickly, the Mavericks with 2 quick buckets to begin the third as Kane sees her mid-range jumper rattle out from just beyond the free throw line. Abuatab back the other way. Barrera finds Miller. Miller gains a step and is rejected by Edmonds. Now Miller looked like she had a clear path to the basket, and she did, but Edmonds with a nice recovery on defense blocks that shot. And Nicole Sarcone has called timeout. 8:35 to go in the third. The Mavericks lead it 27-23. And with this being just a 30-second timeout, we will stay right here. But the Mavericks off to a quick start here in the third, have scored the only 4 points of the quarter. The Dolphins 0 for 2 from the field, have already turned it over once as well. And we've said it before, covering this Dolphins team, the 2 issues that have plagued them this year have been turnovers and prolonged offensive droughts. Typically, they can survive one of those problems at a time. When they've only turned it over but have managed to score efficiently, they've typically been okay. And when they've shot it poorly and gone extended periods without a basket, their defense has at times been able to keep them afloat. But when both of those problems strike at the same time, there really hasn't been an answer, as it's difficult to win any game when you're turning the ball over and failing to score. But the defense has picked this team up in several games this year, and it's done that once again here today. They've held the Mavericks under 30% shooting in this game. The Dolphins have shot it under 30% as well. But the 10 turnovers to Mercy's 5 right now are effectively the difference in the game as the Mavericks lead it by 4. They have an advantage of 2 points in the points off turnovers department. 7 for the Mavericks off turnovers, just 5 for the Dolphins. And Mercy will inbound from the baseline here with 21 to shoot coming out of the 30-second timeout. Lesko with it beyond the arc, feeds Barrera. Barrera with a quick first step, gets right by Kane and puts it in with the left hand. Rose now looking to answer back, and again, she thought she was fouled, but does not get the call, and the Dolphins quickly one and done at the offensive end once again. The entry pass was tipped, and it is stolen. Rose again in transition off the steal, can't finish, tries again, and draws a foul. Kyra Rose back to the line for CSI. They now trail by 6. And Dorothy Weesey will check in for Racky Kane here. Rose has hit both of her free throws thus far.
Rose at the line to shoot 2.
And Rose now misses her first free throw. And Rose goes 0 for 2 from the line. Abuatab brings it up off the missed free throw. Now Barrera for Lesko. Feed inside to Miller, and she finishes over Edmonds. Well, the Dolphins now trail it by 8. The Mavericks have scored the first 8 here in the third quarter. Rose outside to Barnes. She feeds Edmonds, and quickly it's back in the hands of Rose. Another entry pass to Edmonds. Lesko defending, and Edmonds can't finish on the step through. It's a good move by Edmonds, but couldn't get it to go with the left hand. Abuatab swings it to Lesko up top, now Miller. And Lesko slips off showing the screen, but can't finish the layup. That was a well-executed slip by Lesko. She got right to the basket, wide open. But the Dolphins made the shot just tough enough to force the miss. Weesey for Rose. Outside to Phelan. She gets a screen from Weesey. Now Rose uses a Phelan screen. Weesey in the corner, and she traveled. No question about it. Dolphins now held scoreless for 3.5 minutes to begin the second half, and the Mavericks seem to have emerged from their offensive rut, at least a bit. They're 4 for 7 from the field, and they've turned it over again. Considering the matchup advantages, the Dolphins have done a really good job defending entry passes as Weesey couldn't hit the transition layup. Edmonds cleans up the miss, and the Dolphins are on the board for the first time in the third quarter. Miller on the wing, outside to Abuatab. She's tied up, Miller on the cut, and Weesey was left no choice but to give the foul. Mavericks with good action off the ball, forcing the Dolphins to scramble just a bit, and that allowed Miller to cut it open right down the center of the lane. She heads to the line for 2, first Mavericks free throws of the quarter. And the first is good. And Miller hits both. Mercy back in front by 8. as the Dolphins will make changes here. Dorothy Weesey back to the bench. The 5 out there, Rose, Barnes, Edmonds, ditto, and Phelan. Barnes on the left wing. Gives it to Rose up top, now ditto. Abuatab defending. Phelan freed up by the off-ball screen, can't hit the 3. And the rebound is pulled in by Abuatab. Long outlet to Miller, and Miller lays it in. Mercy in front by double figures for the first time. Rose on the elbow, defended by Bowick. And now Phelan harassed down to the floor. Last touched by Phelan. And the Mavericks continue to make life extremely difficult for the Dolphins to begin this third quarter. Mavericks with a chance to extend their lead beyond 10 for the first time. Miller for Bowick. She swings it to Abuatab. Mismatch for Lesko. And Gemma Singer, who just checked into the game, was matched up with the 6-footer. And the Mavericks immediately taking advantage as Singer commits the foul. The Dolphins will send Stitchy Barnes right back into the game. She checked out just moments ago. Phelan to the bench for CSI, and Lesko to the line for Mercy. And her free throw is way short. Second free throw by Lesko is good. Mercy in front by 11 now, and the Dolphins have to be careful with just under 5 minutes to play here in the third, as they could very well have this game slip away from them completely if they don't figure things out. Rose gets into the paint. That's a nice move by Rose, going up between 2 Mavericks, and she made that look easy. Bowick for Lesko. Gets it right back on the handoff, and Bowick is short on the runner inside. Outlet up to Rose off her fingertips, and the Dolphins once again turn it over off a Mavericks miss. However, Mercy with another poor entry pass have given it right back. And we've seen that several times in this game. Singer from the corner finds Rose at the free throw line. Rose will try the jumper. Off the front rim, no good, and rebounded by Abuatab. Abuatab, pull up, in transition, will not go. Bowick with the rebound. Bowick throws one up and in. Count the basket and the foul. Edmonds now has picked up her 3rd personal. And Jasani Francis Torres will check in for Gemma Singer. Nicole Sarcone just trying to find the right combination in terms of her 5 out on the floor. Bowick's free throw is good, and the Mavericks lead it by 12. As the Mavericks have called timeout with 3:49 to go in the third quarter. We will step aside for a quick 30-second break. When we come back, Mercy leads Staten Island 39-27. Under 4 minutes to play here in the third. 3:45 to go here in the third quarter. The Dolphins now trail by 12. They've been held to just 4 points here in the third period. And the Mavericks seem to have found their footing at the offensive end. Francis Torres kicks out to Edmonds, now Rose. Once again looking to drive, is short off the front rim, but her putback is up and in. And Kyra Rose right now has given everything she has at the offensive end to keep CSI in this game. Rose now with 12. As the Mavericks will head back to the line, count the basket for Hoyt, and the foul. Mercy really beginning to exploit those mismatches in the paint. We saw for much of the first half, the Mavericks unable to convert on some opportunities inside despite a matchup advantage on those attempts. That has not been an issue here in the third quarter. And for much of the second, they use those matchups to get to the free throw line as Hoyt can't connect from the stripe, and Lesko commits a foul in pursuit of the rebound. That foul on Lesko, her first and the team's third. Fouls unlikely to be a major issue with 3 minutes to go in the quarter, but the Dolphins do have 14 fouls. As Barnes had it poked away and stolen by Abuatab. Barnes then collides with Ditto, and Abuatab lays it in. Well, the Mavericks have now broken this game open here in the third. They lead it by 14. Barnes from the corner. Her deep two is short. Hoyt lost it. I think it might have been poked away by Ditto. Barnes goes right to the basket and draws the foul. Mavericks now with 14 fouls. Barnes to the line for two here. And her first free throw no good off back iron. One more from the line for Barnes, and she hits the second. On the wing, this is Miller. Over to Lesko. Now Abuatab inside for Bowick. She's doubled. Hoyt is left open, and Hoyt puts up an air ball, but Lesko right there. She's all alone in the opposite corner and can't hit from there. Well, the Mavericks have had a very poor shooting effort from downtown, but they've otherwise turned things around from where they were in the first half as the Dolphins turn it over again. Abuatab in transition. Got caught in traffic, and it will stay Mavericks basketball. Dolphins wanted that call changed. I thought maybe it was off Abuatab's leg, but as we always say, the man with the best angle made that call, the official right on top of it. 15 to shoot for Mercy following the inbound pass. This is Hoyt on the wing, looking for the entry pass to Miller, and Ditto commits a foul off the ball. Miller and Ditto battling for position, and that is the 15th foul on the Dolphins, sending Miller to the line. That foul is Ditto's third, the only Dolphin with more than two personals. Barrera with 3 for the Mavericks, no other Maverick with more than 2 fouls. And Nicole Sarcone has just picked up a technical foul. And I think in part that stems from her displeasure with the call on the out of bounds along the baseline. She's still going back and forth with the official now. I thought perhaps it was a technical, maybe it was a warning instead, as the Mavericks were not awarded free throws, but a whistle came in, and there was definitely an exchange between Nicole and one of the officials. This may not be the right time to mention it, but it came to mind. This is Officials Appreciation Week. But I think, at least for the Dolphins bench, that might have ended with the pregame recognition. 1:34 to go in the third. The Mavericks' lead is now 15 points. Rose the inbounder from the baseline, and it was tipped into the Dolphins bench by Hoyt. Weesey receives the inbound and swings it up to Barnes. Barnes wanted to drive. Abuatab defended it well. Now Rose with the free throw line jumper, no good. And Weesey got her hands on it, could not secure the rebound. However, her effort does earn the Dolphins another chance. It was last touched by Lesko. Shot clock at 20 with the Dolphins inbounding from the sideline. Barnes driving on Abuatab, can't finish with the left, but Rose is there for the putback. Count it, and one. Well, Kyra Rose continues to do good work at the offensive end. Has had to put up a lot of shots in this game. It hasn't been her most efficient effort, but she's now 6 of 14 with 14 points. No other Dolphin with more than 7. And her free throw is good. She now has 7 here in the third quarter. Dolphins have scored just 10 in the quarter. So simple math shows you that Rose has accounted for 70% of the Dolphins' offense here in the third. They could really use a strong final minute as Lesko is whistled for a charge. She can't believe it. And you'll get that sometimes when you have a player with a distinct size advantage going to work in the paint. It was defended well by Phelan and Barnes. And the Dolphins have a chance to go 2 for 1 here. We'll see how quickly they look to work. Barnes for Rose. Rose working along the baseline, back to the basket, finds Phelan. Splash! And that is exactly what I spoke about earlier. It's what the Dolphins need from Kyra Rose. She can get inside as well as any player in the conference, draws double teams at the rim. If she then makes the right decision with the ball, Dolphins will benefit from open shots on the perimeter. That time, Phelan the beneficiary. And the Mavericks can hold for the final shot if they choose. About 1.5 seconds between shot and game clock. Abuatab, over 2 Dolphins, is able to go up and under. Rose with the heave off the front rim to end the quarter. And through 3, the Mavericks lead it by 11. Our score at the end of the third, Mercy 47, Staten Island 36. The Dolphins will need a big fourth quarter to earn their second straight conference win. The Mavericks 10 minutes away from extending their win streak to 7. We'll be right back with the fourth quarter here on CSI Sportsnet. Fourth quarter underway from Dobbs Ferry with the Dolphins trailing 47-36. It looked like Mercy might pull away for good late in that third quarter, but the Dolphins did finish the quarter strong as Barrera can't hit from inside. Rebounding her own miss, she then draws a foul. As the Dolphins once again defended the initial attempt well. More often than not, they have been able to close out those stops with the defensive board, but not that time. And the first free throw for Barrera is good. And the second puts the Mavericks up 13. Five out there for CSI. Edmonds, Rose, Barnes, Weesey, and Phelan. Weesey back to the basket at the free throw line. Hands off to Rose. Rose outside to Phelan, now Weesey. She hands off to Barnes. Barnes crosses over. Is tied up, but Miller went down. Barnes couldn't finish. Edmonds put back no good. Barnes second try no good. And finally, the ball is sent over the baseline. Last touched by the Dolphins. Dolphins with multiple opportunities there. Could not get one to go. Lesko now matched up against Weesey. And Lesko does not get the roll, but Barrera has the rebound. She finds the cutting Hoyt, who puts it in with the left hand. Now the Mavericks just proving too much for the Dolphins on the inside right now. As Rose gets into the paint and nearly had another opportunity for a three-point play. Admittedly a bit surprised that Rose missed that one. Rose rattles in the first free throw. Second free throw by Rose goes down. And the Dolphins have called for a 30-second timeout. So we'll stay right here with 8:41 to go in the fourth quarter. Dolphins trail 51-38. Of course, keep in mind that men's basketball is coming up next. The Dolphins take on the Mavericks in Game 2 of today's East Coast Conference doubleheader. The two teams met earlier this year at the Tank in a game won by the Dolphins. Talk a bit more about that matchup before the men's game gets underway, but in our game here, Dolphins still don't have a made field goal here in the fourth quarter. They were just 5 of 17 in the third, and they weren't overly efficient in the first half either. The difference is the Mavericks picked up the efficiency in the third. They were 9 of 16. They also got to the line 8 times. And between the second and third quarters, the Mavericks attempted 19 free throws. And that's been key for them in this game as they've built a 13-point lead with 8:41 remaining. In terms of overall size, the Dolphins in generally the same place as last year. You add Kane and Edmonds, you lose Kirolo and Alarcon in terms of your players standing 5'9" or taller. So you're in generally the same place. And the Dolphins did well last year against this Mavericks team defensively. They were able to contain Lesko and, of course, win a big playoff game against Mercy. But the scoring is where this team has struggled in this game as Barrera threw one up. That was an air ball. Mavericks also had another offensive rebound in the midst of that last point I was making. So 2 tries on that last trip come up empty. 15 to shoot now. Weesey swings it to Phelan. Edmonds in the right corner, tries the mid-range jumper and knocks it down. Edmonds pulls the Dolphins back to within 11. On the wing, Barrera taking her time, now 12 to shoot. Handoff in the corner for Hoyt. Hoyt steps through and comes up short. Her second try wide open as the Dolphins once again could not secure the rebound. Dolphins have gotten plenty of stops on the first attempt, but throughout the second half have not been able to close out those stops with the defensive board. Meanwhile, it's once again a quick one and done for the Dolphins as Barrera looks to post up on Rose, and somehow Barrera maintained possession and is able to throw it in off glass. Mercy now leads by 15, 6.5 to play. Rose on the wing, defended by Barrera, swings it to Barnes. Barnes looking to drive to her left, Miller right there with her. Now Phelan with 8 to shoot, gets inside the free throw line. Her jumper is good, and the Dolphins are back to within 13. CSI certainly cannot afford to allow many more second chances the rest of the way. Leary racing up the floor, found Hoyt wide open. The bench wanted her to shoot it, but instead she gets right by 2 Dolphins and is fouled by Weesey. Hoyt back to the free throw line. For Mercy, these free throws will be free throws 25 and 26. Hoyt and Lesko, the only 2 Mavericks who have attempted at least 5 free throws. And Hoyt is now 3 of 6 from the line. Hoyt also with a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds. She also has 5 steals and has not come out of the game. She's played 34 minutes. And she goes 2 for 2 from the line here. Mercy back in front by 15. Under 6 minutes to play. Edmonds with it, top of the arc, hands it to Ditto. Now Barnes right back to Ditto, and she's way off from 3. But the Mavericks may have touched it with a foot on the baseline. Did not see the ball land out of bounds, but perhaps it bounced on the white line. Another chance for the Dolphins, 14 on the shot clock. That last shot was an air ball, and Rose draws the foul, sending her back to the free throw line for 2 more. Dolphins have 10 free throws, 7 of those belong to Rose. Rose also has 17 of the 42 CSI points, and is the only Dolphin with more than 1 shot attempt, shooting above 33% from the field. And this is one of those games where the Dolphins had a long stretch where they were held scoreless. Ultimately, scored 13 in the third, but were without a basket for much of that quarter. And 15 turnovers combined with an offensive drought that came in what was a tie game at halftime have put them in a big hole late. Under 5.5 to play, the Mavericks lead it 57-43. Rose went 1 of 2 from the line. This is Barrera, and she will head to the line. Dolphins have just had no answer for Mercy on the interior. And in the first half, they did about as good a job as you could have asked for in slowing the Mavericks down around the basket, but in the second half, they've been a bit overwhelmed. Barrera's first free throw is good. And she goes 2 for 2 from the line. Barnes with it. Hands off to Ditto. Now Edmonds right back to Barnes. Barnes frees herself up and can't hit the free throw line step back. Under 5 to play now. Barrera underneath, gets Kane out of the way and could not finish. Iraqi Kane has played just 12 minutes in this game as Barnes can't finish off glass, and the Mavericks are out running. Miller ahead of the field, lays it in, and Mercy goes in front by 18. The Mavericks have been in complete control for much of this second half. They've outscored the Dolphins 38-20 and lead at 61-43 as we approach 4 minutes to go. Mercy called for a kick ball. And a timeout will come with 4:15 to go. It is a media timeout, our last of the game. Mercy with a big lead, 61-43 our score with just over 4 minutes to play. Dolphins inbound to Rose. Just over 4 minutes to go, and Ditto comes up short from the corner. But the rebound is tipped to her by Edmonds. Gemma Singer back in, swung it to the left wing for Ditto. Now Kane right to the basket, can't finish. And she grabs her own miss. The Mavericks bobbled it along the baseline. Another chance for the Dolphins here. Rose gets inside, count the basket, and one. Kyra Rose continues to impress at the offensive end. Rose now with that last basket has 20 points. She's 7 of 15 from the field. And we'll look to make it 7 of 10 from the line here. And she does. Abuatab pressured off the inbound. Lesko quickly gets it ahead to Barrera. Now Abuatab with 3:40 to go will get the Mavericks set up as they take their time here. Hoyt. Entry pass, tipped, and stolen as Singer was fouled. That's the 4th team foul on the Mavericks. But with just under 3.5 to go, it appears the Dolphins are out of time. They will have to work very quickly. Ditto into the corner for Rose. She drives baseline and finds Singer open. And Singer hits the jumper. Once again, Kyra Rose making a good decision with the ball in her hands, drew a double, and found her open teammate along the baseline. The lead for the Mavericks is now 13. We are under 3 minutes remaining here in the 4th quarter. Lesko in the post, defended by Kane. She gets around Kane, but cannot convert on the layup. And the Dolphins are out in transition. Rose to the basket, can't finish off glass. And that's one the Dolphins had to have if they were going to make a serious comeback bid.
Dolphins foul charge to number 13. Juliana Nicholas, fourth. It's the team's fourth.
Timeout called on the floor. With 2:36 to go, we break for a 30-second timeout. So we will stay right here as we take a look at the box score from this one. I mentioned before, Dolphins had 15 turnovers. That is still the number right now. Mavericks with 11, but the free throw disparity 2-1 in favor of Mercy. A bit more than that, in fact. Mercy 21 of 28, the Dolphins 8 of 13 from the line, and Kyra Rose has accounted for bordering on half of the Dolphins' offense in this game. And that's just not sustainable moving forward. As good as she's been this year, the Dolphins need more consistency out of their other starters and just have not had that. In terms of minutes, Raki Kane has played 15, Phelan 28, Edmonds 30, and Barnes 29. Off the bench, Dorothy Weesey has played 18 minutes. Juliana Ditto has played 16 minutes. Jasani Francis Torres, 10 minutes off the bench. Maya McKee, 2 minutes, and Gemma Singer, 3 minutes. Dolphins pressuring once again off the Mercy inbound. And the shot clock was not running, it appears. So they put 27 on the shot clock, and the Mavericks will inbound a second time. And despite the 3 seconds coming off, the Mavericks will still have 10 seconds to get it across half court. They have no problem doing that as the Dolphins tip it and come away with the steal. They had it across and made an extra pass, but Barnes coughs it up, and Hoyt banks it in. Conventional wisdom says let 30 seconds come off the clock. Sophia Hoyt says I'll take 2 points and a free throw to go along with it. The foul on Raki Kane, her third and the team's fifth, as the Mavericks will put an exclamation point on this one. Late in the fourth quarter, they go back ahead by 16. And for Mercy, they are closing in on their 7th straight win. Edmonds from the corner knocks down another mid-range jumper. Quick basket for the Dolphins, pulls them back to within 14, 2 minutes remaining. Mavericks once again get it across half court. Hoyt into the corner from Miller outside of Buatab, and Mercy will wisely take their time here. For the Dolphins, a loss in this game drops them to 3-4 against the ECC. It earns Mercy a sweep of the season series as Lesko just got that off ahead of the buzzer, but couldn't hit. And now Rose back the other way, unable to finish with the left. .120 to go, and once again Mercy will take their time with it. But the Dolphins will fall to 7-11 on the year. The Mavericks with the win will improve to 12-5. Mercy 6-1 here at home as well. As the Dolphins force another miss, Barnes the other way. Tied up, nearly turned it over. Rose finds Kane. She finds Ditto, and Ditto has her three-pointer roll off. Mercy again across half court quickly will take their time with it. And we'll see if they look to shoot. I don't believe they will. Buatab getting a pair of screens, so perhaps one more attempt for the Mavericks. And Buatab lays it in. Barnes wound up on the floor. And a whistle has come in to stop play for a moment. The shot clock currently reads 20. They'll have to reset that to 30. And they'll turn the shot clock off, in fact. Edmonds with it at the free throw line, looking to drive on Lesko. She flips it to Ditto. No good from three, and that will wrap this one up. The Mercy University Mavericks pick up a win at home as they knock off the Dolphins by a final score of 66-50. It is the 7th straight win for Mercy. For the Dolphins, they fall to 3-4 in conference play following a win at home on Wednesday against St. Thomas Aquinas College. And for the Dolphins, they are next in action on Tuesday in non-conference play. And for the first time in what seems like ages, I will be on campus 3 straight days for varsity sports action. On Monday, swimming and diving returns to action. You can catch that live stream here on YouTube. On Tuesday, women's basketball takes on Caldwell University. That game, of course, will air on Flow College. And then on Wednesday, it is senior day for swimming and diving as the Dolphins host Brooklyn College. That follows them hosting Baruch on Monday. Wednesday's meet will be at 5 p.m. The Dolphins and the Bulldogs from the tank on senior night for swimming and diving. Once again, that meet airs here on our Sportsnet YouTube channel. But coming up next, men's basketball takes the court as they look to continue their strong performance against the ECC this year. Against the Mavericks, they'll look for the season sweep against the Mavericks as well. That game coming up at 2 p.m. or thereabouts. It looks like we're going to get started a bit later than that. We will see how quickly these two teams get underway. They put 30 minutes on the clock, so we're looking at a 2:15 start from Dobbs Ferry. I will rejoin you then on a separate stream for that broadcast. So until that time, this has been Joe Foreman. Thank you to everyone for tuning in to our audio coverage of the Dolphins and Mavericks Game 1. Men's basketball coming up next. We go live at approximately 2:15 p.m.